welcome back to my channel. Today I am here with my September wrap-up. I read 7 books in September. The first thing that I read was Her Wild Roommate by Adele Knight. This was one that I picked up from Stuff Your Kindle Day, and it's definitely the best book that I've read so far from my Stuff Your Kindle Day selections. This one I gave 3 stars. I feel like for only being like a 60-some page novella, the characters actually had a lot of depth and they had a lot of development, and I could really feel their connection, and I really liked the romantic, like I liked their relationship, which is really rare for me in kind of like smutty novellas. Normally I'm just like, you know, it rushes into like the X-rated stuff, the smut so quickly that it's hard to get that kind of connection, but I actually did feel that with them, so I wouldn't mind a full-length novel from like about these characters. But still, it was just 3 stars. It's good, but it's also just, it is what it is. And I finally got around to The Lost Apothecary by, who is this even by? Sarah Penner. This has been on my TBR for a really long time, and I was super happy to see that my library got it on Libby, so I was able to listen to the audio. I honestly expected to like this a lot more than I actually did, so this was a little bit of a disappointment for me. I still gave it 3 stars, but I mean, it's literally about this woman who has an apothecary shop in the 1700, I think 1791, and she essentially gives women poisons to kill men who have wronged them, which sounds so interesting. Like that's such a cool concept. But we also get a modern day perspective of this woman named Caroline who goes to London for her like supposed anniversary, but her husband doesn't go with her because he cheats on her. So she goes alone, and she goes on this tour or whatever, and she finds this bottle from the apothecary, and then ultimately she discovers the apothecary through like research. And that was the part that made it really bad for me. Like, I would have preferred it to just be straight historical fiction. We only get the apothecary's POV. It's set in 1791 and we learn all about the apothecary. For me, that would have been preferred. I can see how adding in like the modern day elements would make it a little more accessible to people who maybe typically don't even read historical fiction or anything, but I just ultimately didn't care about Caroline. Like, I didn't care about her perspective, and I found it extremely unrealistic. Like, you're telling me for the last like 250 years, because she finds this shit so quick. Like, she finds this bottle, she goes to the library, she's like, do you know what this is? And they like, she literally just like walks down an alley, turns, like finds the door to the apothecary, opens it, and discovers this whole apothecary. You want me to believe that 250 years nobody has like opened that door, then randomly this American woman comes over there and it's just like, oh my god, I just discovered this crazy thing. No, like you just can't convince me that that's how it would have happened. I don't know, I just think that it could have been, there's a lot of things I would have changed about it, but it also wasn't bad. You know, I was really interested in one of the perspectives, and so that made it a decent book, but I really wanted it to be a winner for me, and it just wasn't. It was a 3, so not bad, but not anything that I'm like gonna rave about. Then I read A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. This one I ended up giving 2.5 stars. I had a lot of issues with this book. Like, I can understand why people love it, but I can also really understand why people don't like it. And so for me, I definitely, right at that like that middle section, but definitely towards the end, it just fell further down the rating scale for me. First of all, why is it like over 400 pages? It's 432 pages. Why? Just why? There's no need. Unless there are other elements along with the romance, like if it's more literary fiction or there's just more depth to it, then I get it. But like a smutty, pretty basic romance, what? The audiobook was like 14 hours long. What? In what fucking world? If you don't know what this book is about, I always forget in my wrap-ups to say what books are about. I just assume that everybody knows. I'm just like, I'm not good at describing books. But it's about this woman who's a porn star, and she has a closed door account, which is like OnlyFans as well. But she wants to start kind of doing more mainstream, I guess would be correct. And so there's this Christmas movie that the Hope Channel is making, which is like Hallmark, and the lead actress drops out, so she gets that role because of her connections. She tries to hide who she is, but her and the actor start to build this relationship, and he actually knows who she is because he is already a top tier subscriber to her closed doors account she is like his favorite porn star, but he doesn't even tell her that. So I felt like it was awkward when they started this relationship and she didn't know that he knew. That there's just some, I can't pinpoint it, but there's something about that that's just so uncomfortable for me. Like, so when they were building this relationship, she didn't even know that he already was like jacking off to her all the time and shit. Like, to me, that's just weird. I just feel like he should have said something. Like, why would he not just be like, I actually know who you are, but like, if you don't want anybody to know, like, I'll respect that. Like, that's that easy to have an adult conversation with transparency and openness and honesty, and it didn't happen. And it's just creepy to me that he was still like watching her account and then seeing her every single day. There's just something about that I didn't like. It felt icky to me. Also, there was something off about like the fat rep to me. With how pushy and in your face he was about her body, it felt more like he was fetishizing her than just like loving and appreciating her. Because like almost every interaction that they had in his mind, when we got his POV, he'd be like, oh, like she's fat. Like he would have to say something about it. So it was just awkward. I was like, we get it. But do you like her for anything else? Do you like her personality or anything? Like, never brought it up. Never. I'm not kidding. He only ever brought up, oh, she's fat, she's thick, her curves, I like that, oh my god, I'm obsessed. Or it was like, oh, she's a porn star, she's my favorite porn star, like all this. And I was like, what else though? Like, she's multifaceted. Like, what else about her though are you into? I don't know. It was just fucking weird. Also, his mom has bipolar disorder, and the way it's written, you can tell these authors, bruh, do you even know what bipolar is? Like, I know that there are layers and different severities to mental illnesses, but they painted her as like this woman who literally couldn't do anything. Like, they just had her like doing little crafts, and he was like, oh my god, I don't even know if my mom can handle that. And it's like, bro, she's bipolar. She's not like what? Like, it was so weird. I was like, why are you painting people who have mental illnesses as just these like incapable people? It was fucking trash. And she was a side character, and that was her whole thing. It's just, oh my god, my mom is bipolar. And it was like made to make you want to pity him. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know. Just overall, this book, so many things about it didn't sit right with me. There were a lot of things I liked. The Christmas vibes were super cool. I actually really liked the main girl character, but there was just, and like the side characters were really fun too, but just mainly like him, I didn't like the fat representation, the mental illness representation. There were a lot of things that I was like, did y'all even have beta readers? Like diverse beta readers? Because then I read The God of Endings. Oh my god, I have it right here. Hold on. Wow, this was so interesting. This is a fat book. First of all, I gave this 4 stars. I actually really enjoyed this. It is a vampire story, but it's not a vampire story in the way that you would ever think that it is. Like, it was slow. There's not like really gore. It's not horror. It's 100% literary fiction, a little bit historical. This is about a woman, Colette, whose grandfather turns her into a vampire back in the 18th century. Regardless, her grandfather turned her into a vampire way back when she was like about to die. And the book is set in 1984, but we're also getting flashbacks to see just what she's been doing all these years since. I think it's been like 200 years or something like that. And we're just seeing like what she's been up to, things she's gone through. There's a lot of really, really cool historical references in here, like World War II gets brought up with Nazis, and it's just really interesting. It's honestly more just like you're reading her journal. Like, you're just kind of learning about things she's been through and whatnot. In the modern day, the present timeline, or well, 1984, but for her present, there is a little bit of like a mystery kind of suspense sort of situation that you are kind of a little, you know, makes you a little curious about some things. But ultimately, it's just a really slow book. It's not like a typical vampire story where it's like, ooh, there's all this gore and horror and like, it's not. It's just a literary fiction about a vampire, and her dealing with that and what she's been through because of it. And I don't know, I thought it was beautifully written. I'm definitely gonna pick up anything that Jacqueline Holland writes in the future, because the writing style was just, oh my god, so stunning. But But yeah, a 4-star read, an easy 4-star read. This was really, really beautiful and lyrical, and I'm really happy to have said that I read it. Then lastly, I just have some books that I've read for other videos, so I'm just gonna go through that really, really fast. First, I did just upload my reading books from the Dollar Tree vlog, so I will link that up above if you do want to watch it. The 2 books that I read in that video were Universal Harvester by Josh Darnielle. I gave this 3.5 stars. It was way better than a lot of people were saying, but I did go into it not expecting it to be horror. It's marketed as horror, but I've heard people say it's not, and so I went into it with the right expectations, and I think that's why I enjoyed it more than most people. So I really liked it. I thought it was kind of creepy and eerie, and I would definitely read Devil House by him, which is his newest release. I would definitely check it out. And then the other book I read is Permanent Record, which I gave 3.5, 3.5, same rating. I gave them both the same rating. I don't read a lot of YA or NA anymore, but this one was decent, and I go into my thoughts a lot in that video if you want to check it out. Then for a video coming out, I believe next week, I did read The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. I don't want to say too much about it because I do go in depth a lot in that reading vlog, but this was 5 stars for me. I absolutely loved it. I absolutely adored it, and it's definitely one of those books where I'm like, I can't believe it took me so long to finally get to it. So highly recommend, and check out the reading vlog. I'll link it up above once it's actually posted. Definitely check it out next week. So that is everything that I read in September. I hope that you all had a good month. I feel like September flew by, and I say that most months, but September in particular was like a flash. Like, I really feel like September went by very, very quickly. Let me know your favorite thing that you read in September, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.